I am your course instructor for finite element methods. In today's session, we will discuss the generation of element stiffness matrix, in using principle of minimum potential energy. Okay, so the stiffness matrix can be derived using two methods, one using principle of minimum potential energy and the other method by using direct stiffness method. This is also called as direct stiffness method, and the other method is by using natural coordinates. Okay, now we'll see how to derive a stiffness matrix using the principle of minimum potential energy. For this, I'll consider a one-dimensional bar element as an example, having two nodes and each node having 1 degree of freedom and subjected to a force F. Okay, so for instance we will consider this as node 1 and this as node 2. In the node 1 we will assume that it is subjected to a force F1 and node 2 is subjected to a force F2. Let us assume area of this particular element, whatever you have considered one dimensional bar, as a mm square and length as L. Okay, for instance we'll assume this. Now this is node 1, okay, and the displacement at node 1, if you want to write a line diagram for this, the displacement at node 1 can be considered as u1 and displacement at node 2 can be considered as u2, and the load at node 1 can be considered as F1 and the load at node 2 can be considered as F2. Okay, now in order to derive the stiffness matrix, let us assume a suitable displacement model. Let us assume a displacement model okay. So let the displacement model be u is equals to alpha 1 plus alpha 2 into x. We will call this as equation 1, where alpha 1 and alpha 2 are the generalized coordinates. Alpha 1 and alpha 2 are the generalized coordinates and x is the displacement and u is the total displacement function. And with respect to this, okay, now we will try to apply the boundary condition. Say if we consider at node 1 when x is equals to 0, when at x is equals to 0, at node 1 x is equals to 0, value of u will become u1, and now if you substitute this value into this equation, u equation, so this equation will become u1 is equals to alpha 1 plus alpha 2 into 0, which implies that generalized coordinate alpha 1 is equals to u1. Now our intention is to find out this unknown generalized coordinates alpha 1 and alpha 2, and then on back substitution we will able to find out this value, u value. Okay, that is a displacement model value will be you will be getting the displacement model value. And now again at x is equals to L, okay, when we say at x is equals to L at this particular point, okay, value of u will be equal to u2. Now again substitute this value of at x is equals to L into equation number 1, then this will become u2 is equals to alpha 1 plus alpha 2 into L. Again from this we know that alpha 1 is equals to u1, so on back substitution alpha 1 is u1, alpha 2 into L, alpha 2 into L. So now we need to find out alpha 2, so alpha 2 into L can be represented as u2 minus u1, that is just transferring this u1 to the other side, okay, to the left hand side. Then if you want to find out alpha 2, the generalized coordinate 2, it can be represented as u2 minus u1 divided by L. Now we get the values of alpha 1 and alpha 2. Once you get the values of alpha 1 and alpha 2, we need to substitute this value of alpha 1 and alpha 2 into equation 1 to get the displacement model. Now the displacement model u is equals to alpha 1 plus alpha 2 into x. This was equation 1. Now substituting value of alpha 1 and alpha 2 into equation 1 implies u is equals to, so alpha 1 is u1 and alpha 2 is u2 minus u1 divided by L into x. Now this is a displacement model whatever we have obtained. And since we need to find out the stiffness matrix using principle of minimum potential energy. The principle of minimum potential energy says that pi is equals to strain energy plus work potential. That is, principle of minimum potential energy says that it is a sum of strain energy due to the internal forces. So always we treat the strain energy or the energy stored inside the body as positive, and work potential is due to the external forces. So we always treat work potentials as negative, and we need to find out strain energy and work potential here. And if we consider strain energy, okay, we know that the strain energy for a three-dimensional body, okay, for a three-dimensional body is given by 1/2 over the volume sigma transpose epsilon into dV. Okay, now since we have considered one-dimensional element for our analysis, for one-dimensional element the strain energy equation can be represented as 1/2. So we consider over the length sigma transpose epsilon into dV. So this dV can be, for one dimension, this dV can be taken as A into dx. Okay, in three dimensional the elemental volume will be dV. When we consider it to one dimensional, the dV will become A into dx. So this will be 1/2 over the length. So again sigma, it can be sigma transpose can be represented as sigma epsilon A into dx. And by using Hooke's law, we can write that, by using Hooke's law we can represent that, we know that stress by strain is nothing but Young's modulus, which implies that stress can be represented as Young's modulus into strain. Now substituting this relation into this equation, so we can write that 1/2 over the L. The sigma now can be represented as Young's modulus into strain, Young's modulus into strain A into dx. Now 1/2 on simplification, so the Young's modulus will be as it is, strain into strain square A into dx. Okay, so now if we consider any material, if we consider a material or whatever the one-dimensional bar what we have considered for the derivation of stiffness matrix, okay, cross-sectional area remains same throughout and Young's modulus remains same throughout. So in this context we can take Young's modulus and cross-sectional area as a common, and we can keep this outside. So we can rewrite this as EA by 2 over the L epsilon square into dx. And we know that the strain value epsilon is nothing but dou u by dou x. And now this equation can be represented as EA by 2 over the length, so dou u by dou x whole square into dx. Okay, now this is a strain energy for a one-dimensional bar element. This is a strain energy obtained for a one-dimensional bar element. Now okay, now we know that u is equals to u1 plus u2 minus u1 divided by L into x. Okay, from the strain energy equation, so first let us differentiate this equation with respect to x. If we differentiate this with respect to x, this term will become 0 and it will be u2 minus u1 divided by L. And we need to find out so from the strain energy equation, it is dou square u by dou u by dou x whole square into dx. So if you want to find out dou u by dou x whole square, so it will be u2 minus u1 divided by L whole square. Okay, and since we know that potential energy, this is a strain energy, and now strain energy equation can be represented as EA by 2 over the length. Now length will be varying from 0 to L, so dou u by dou x is u2 minus u1 divided by L whole square into into dx. This is a strain energy, and work potential is, so we have two forces, that is one force is acting at node 1. At node 1 the force is F1, and at node 2 the force is F2. Okay, work potential is F1, and the corresponding displacement at node 1 is U1, and at node 2 the load is F2, and the corresponding displacement at node 2 is F2. So total work potential is F1 U1 at node 1. F1 is a load at node 1, and U1 is a corresponding displacement function, and F2 is a load at node 2, and U2 is a corresponding displacement at node 2. And if you want to write the total potential energy functional, which is a sum of strain energy and work potential, so we represent this as EA by 2 0 to L U2 minus U1 divided by L whole square into dx. Now since work potential is always negative because it is external forces acting, we represent this as F1 U1 minus F2 U2. Okay, now by using principle of minimum potential energy, so we can write this as del pi is equals to 0, which says that for a conservative system of all the displacement configurations satisfying boundary conditions, compatibility conditions and equilibrium conditions. Okay, so we can represent del pi is equals to 0. With this context, we can partially differentiate this equation 2 with respect to u1 and equate it to 0, and again the same equation with respect to u2 and equate it to 0. So we will be able to find out the unknowns. Okay, once you differentiate this with respect to u1 and equate it to 0, we can represent this as EA by 2. Okay, we will write EA by 2 as it is. So differentiation of u2 minus u1 whole square is 2 times u2 minus u1 divided by L, okay, divided by L into, okay, into, so differentiation of u1 is minus 1, and differentiation of f1 is differentiation of f1 into u1 is, the coefficient of u1 is 1, and this will become f1, which is equals to 0. We can cancel this 2 and this 2, and if we want to separate this, so it will be EA by L into u2. So since we have minus sign here, it will become minus. So again minus into minus will become plus, EA by L into u1, which is equals to, I will transfer this f1 to the right hand side, it will become f1. And if we take EA by L into u1 minus EA by L into u2 is equals to f1. Okay, you can call this as some equation 3. Now in a similar fashion, you can differentiate the same equation with respect to u2 and equate it to 0. Again we will be obtaining EA by 2 into u2 minus u1 divided by L. Okay, again now we are differentiating with respect to u2. Coefficient of u2 is 1 minus, so we will be getting it f2 equated to 0. Again in a similar fashion, so EA by L, so u2 and minus EA by L u1 is equals to, again now transfer this f2 to the right hand side, it will become f2. With this, okay, with this now let us write equation 3 and equation 4 in matrix form. So now I will write EA, I will take EA by L as common from both the equations, and coefficient of U1, so I will represent like this: U1, U2. So the load factors are F1 and F2. So this is a load F1 for equation 3 and F2 in equation 4, and the coefficient of U1 in equation 3 is +1. So when I have taken out EA by L as common, coefficient of U1 is +1 and coefficient of U2 is -1. Similarly, if we consider equation 4, the coefficient of U1 is -1 and the coefficient of U2 is +1. Now this is the element stiffness matrix: EA by L +1, -1, -1, +1 into U1, U2, which are nodal displacements, which can be called as nodal displacements, is equals to F1 into F2, and this particular thing is called as K matrix, or this particular thing is called as Q matrix, nodal displacement. This is a stiffness matrix, nodal displacements and nodal force vector, and whatever we are interested is the element stiffness matrix for a one-dimensional bar element can be represented as EA by L +1, -1, -1, +1. Okay, this is a element stiffness matrix for a 1D bar element using principle of minimum potential energy. Again, as I told in the beginning itself, so we can derive this equation by using natural coordinate system also.